Hey there. Welcome to another episode of Heart and Hustle, Visionary Healers, Movers, and Shakers. I am your host, Paulette Rees-Denis, here to bring you magic makers from around the globe, people who are creating change, who have small businesses, large businesses, hobbies, but they are creating the life of their dreams. And that, my friends, is what living is all about. So let us know how you like this episode. Please subscribe, and we'll see you there. Thanks for joining. All right, my friends, welcome to another episode of Heart and Hustle, Visionary Healers, Movers, and Shakers. And I am Paulette Rees-Denis, and we are well into our 5th year of doing this video podcast. And that's so exciting for me. And I still get so excited by all the people I get to meet and share with you, people who are movers and shakers and magical creators, and like myself and like so many of you. And I am your transformational lifestyle coach for creative women who are on the verge of becoming more, becoming expanded, and living the life of your dreams. And so the people I get to bring to you are people who are making change, who are creating change, who are making magic and making a difference in the world, as well as living the life of their dreams and being of service to their people. And that's really exciting for me and you as we get to share and network and expand our curiosity. I love that word, curiosity, right? Right, Jenna? So today I get to bring you Jenna Smith from Ontario, Canada.
Hello.
I'm so excited. Yay, welcome, Jenna. How are you?
I'm good. I love these conversations, and I love, I've been talking a lot about business lately, or like mental health, but to talk about creativity and becoming is definitely a fun space for me as a fellow creator, artist, folk. Yes.
So you are multi-passionate, as so many of us, which I love and I advocate for. I remember my dad used to say to me, Paulette, when are you going to do one thing? I'm like, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Why? It's not all at once. You don't have to do them all at once. I remember being in my late teens when you're kind of supposed to figure out the thing. Mm-hmm. And that was when I was really into singing, and I was like, I'm going to be a singer. This is it. This is the plan. But I remember Barbara Sher had a book called Refuse to Choose. And like many books, I don't read the whole thing. I just read what I need to and then move on. And it was just that. It was just like, she talked about different types of multi-creatives and how, like, now as an entrepreneur, that's like your brand DNA to be like, I sing, I paint, I do animal communication, I'm a shaman, I'm a psychotherapist, and like all of them weave for me to be more of who I am and share more of my full self and my full spectrum of gifts with a human, with another human, which is much more enticing than perhaps just like we might think, one person, and then that, you know what, if that one person's like, this is all I want to do, this is all I want to focus on, that's authentic to them, awesome, right? That's them living their nature, and that we all are afforded the right to live for our nature, towards our nature. Yeah.
And there was a time in my life when I thought, now I can't think of the phrase, what's that phrase, is like so many thing, master of none.
Yeah, jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't believe that.
Yeah. I mean, I think people that are searching and trying and not expressing their true selves, that can happen. Mm-hmm. Like where they're just hopping from thing to thing.
Right. Yes. That's different.
Seeking in the external world. But when you're expressing, there's an alignment to it. There's an energy behind that expression. Yeah.
So tell me about your path.
Cool. Well, I'm in Southern Ontario, Canada, And I just said the weather was like amazing last week, and now it's like rainy and gray. So I'm much more of a California type person, like sunshine, minimal bugs.
Come on down, girl. Come on.
Oh.
It's like 80, 90 degrees out today.
So before COVID, I'll go backwards. Before COVID, I was in California literally right before it all bust out in March. So January, February, it was all across California, seeking where would I rent my house for 3 months when I leave my cottage here. So I own a cottage here. And I never knew this life was possible. So in my teen years, I come from a lot of multi-generational trauma, and just when your parents aren't quite adults. And so you just feel alone and like you don't know how to do anything. And there's just this intrinsic insecurity, literally, when you don't have adult people taking care of you. And that's a lot more people than one might think. So my dad had bipolar, and then my brother like he became a bully. So he was a bully to me, but he was just having his own, he's into marijuana a lot, which one would say at this time isn't a drug, but when you use it over, like, it does affect your brain when you're forming into all the things. So his energy completely changed. And so I just never felt like anywhere was safe, and then developed a lot of like being the good girl, being the smart one. I discovered I could sing. Like, I was always singing in nature. So like, thank God I had nature and singing, because that kept my spirit, the ember, alive. It didn't completely die. When I work with some clients, like, they're like, oh, I've always felt like life was dark, and I've never, it's like, oh, I had nature and I had singing to keep my soul a little bit fed all the way through. So when I was dealing with all of that pain and trauma and stuff, it was like I had some part of me that was like, okay, let's do this thing, singing. But then I realized I was good at singing in front of people. Like, I'd be singing in nature, like a little girl singing around Disney stuff. But then I sang, I asked my mom, I actually begged my mom for voice lessons, but I would sing off key. I would sing all off key because I wouldn't learn the notes. I'd get so excited, I would just start singing. My mom's like, okay, you're not really that good. But once I learned the notes, which is a really good metaphor. Once I just learned the notes, then I could direct all that passion and energy on the notes. And I sang, and then the whole room, the energy in the room changed. And I was like, oh, this is something I can do. So singing. And then I was in a car accident, and withstood soft tissue injuries all over my body, and then couldn't sleep to repair. So I had developed something called fibromyalgia at age 15. So it's like your brain starts to stop working as well, because you're dealing with all this pain all the time, and then you're not getting stage 3 and stage 4 sleep, which is the deep sleep, reparative sleep. So that went on in more of like an acute state for 10 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And some people never quite heal from it. So I'm pretty grateful I did find a path, but I met my Reiki master at age 15. So I had the car accident about a year later, met her through a mutual friend, through all these synchronicities back then. I was always tuned in and always interested in the deeper parts of life anyway. At such a young
age 15, you started working with a Reiki master.
Yeah.
Wow. See, when I was 15, I never would have known what that was.
No, yeah, I know. And I'm in a small town, so it's no different than the States in the small town in Canada. It's like, that's weird. You're witchy. I'm going to pray over you.
Love it.
Like, this is it. I was like, how could this be devil work if it's healing? That made no sense to me. It was like, and it wasn't an affront to God. It was just a different form that God shows up,
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was really interesting to kind of be a closeted energy person, but it made the most sense to me. So that led to wanting to get the F out of a small town and go to a city because I wanted to sing. And I just was like, I gotta get out of here. I don't belong here. And what I mean by that was I didn't belong in, like, I didn't like gossip. I didn't like not being able to truly like express myself without fear of like what people are going to think. I just was still really bound by those fears. So I was like, the idea of a city felt amazing. And so I went to York University for music, but all the while I'm learning all this, I'm doing personal development, reading books and meeting mentors. And that was, I loved being at university. So like singing, and just felt like, oh, here I am. Like, this is it. in a university, that makes sense. That all the while like developing spiritually and healing from my past. So I'm still dealing with chronic pain at times, still dealing with trauma stuff. But all these things are helping me. And I just kept wanting to be better. I just kept wanting to be more expressed and wanting to be better, wanting to be more expressed and wanting to be better. So, you know, something would work for a while, or it would be the need at the time. And then it would like, oh, okay, but what, but you know, there's got to be something else. So you can feel really good and aligned in your life. Like, here's my passion, but how do I pay rent? And how do I be in the world? Right. Like, so, oh, okay, I'm starting to feel better, but I'm still 40K in debt from my music degree, which isn't like I'm going to go make a lot of money with a music degree. So I found my way into personal training, because you have to look hot when you're a singer. Like, that was the programming I had. So I'm in the gym all the time. And then people just started asking me questions like, how do you do this? How do you do that? And I thought, oh, maybe I can make money doing this. And you could. It was actually really easy. And it's so funny because I grew up a little overweight from being, my brother's bullying was very emotionally damaging. So I did a lot of emotional eating, but also the pain. I couldn't actually be very physical with and get money from the insurance companies. So the insurance companies make you stay sick in order to get money to stay better. It's so strange. Like, if they see you out and about frolicking around with your friends, but you can still be in pain and still not sleep and still have brain issues, they would take away your funding of whatever you needed. So once we finally settled out 10 years later, I was able to emancipate from that energy of needing to prove I am injured to get the money I need for my continued care. So that's like a whole thing. If anyone has chronic pain, like it was so amazing to just be like, okay, enough of this crap. Like, what do I need to heal? So fitness, on energy work, and healing past trauma, and all of them were coming together, going to my own counselor. And then just finding my way. Like, when singing in the music business and being owned by a company weren't very appealing, it was like, okay, personal training. Okay, then I was working with a shamanic mentor. So I met him doing healing work at a music festival, like synchronous. So my teachers have always come to me.
Right.
I haven't really ever been like, I wasn't Googling Reiki. I wasn't like, everything came to me. My teachers showed up for me, and, oh, I need to put your spirit back in your body, and learned the ways of shamanism and going direct to spirit and connecting to nature. It just made so much sense to me, being raised Roman Catholic, like, okay, this guy has all the answers and you got to just follow.
You're right. Oh yeah. I was raised Catholic too.
No, right. It definitely just was like, no, this isn't right. But to be part of everything and to respect everything, and that everything has medicine, and also the bad stuff isn't bad necessarily if you choose to suffer and maintain your weakness.
Right. It's your choice.
Yeah. But it's also transmutable.
And I love what you say in your website. You say, be a creator, not a reactor.
Yeah. Like, that's what we can be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The reactions are old programming and lack of resources. So the method I eventually came up with is called the resourcing method, re-sourcing, because our body intelligence, our heart intelligence, our spirit, and it doesn't matter, your road to spirit doesn't matter. It's many rivers to the same ocean, I like to say. Like, how spirit wants to work with you, spirit will speak your language. It's whatever lights you up. It's whatever makes sense to you. It's whatever enlivens you is your spirit. And these are resources we weren't really taught as human beings. We were taught a lot of stuff, but to really be a powerful human being, not so much. So that's what I like, my whole quest was really. And then once I figured it out for myself, obviously it's an ever evolving journey. But there's a tipping point where you're like, I know I'm enough. I know I have all the answers if I need them, when I need them. I know I'm not alone. in the universe figuring it all out on my own. Like when you know these resources palpably, it's such a game changer. And then now you can be a creator. Now you can start participating in creation and surrendering your ego mind for a creation stream for you, because sometimes that's even cooler and with a lot more ease, and it just feels better. I mean, maybe your listeners would get this, but like we do feel like we have to hang on to what we want in our dreams. Like we feel like if we surrender them, we might not get what we want.
Oh yeah, total but masculine way of gripping and hanging on, right?
Yeah, like I can't surrender this, but I really want this. We think that creation, like if you think about a really healthy parent, they want the best for their kids. If creation's dream for us is like to be our fullest expression, will we not have all the tools and capabilities to be our fullest expression? Now, saying that, that's a luxury. Survival needs have to be met. Certain things need to be in place to start to be able to co-create. So it's really a luxury, but a lot of people that have their needs met are suffering from overthinking and suffering from not hearing their voice and suffering from the noise. Mm-hmm. So they're suffering.
Overthinking. How many of you out there overthink things?
It's so pervasive. I was such an overthinker, and my shaman mentor, his name is Chris. Like he's like his lineage is a whole other story, but my lineage shamanically is I'm Celtic. I'm from Celtic roots, and my dad could speak to animals and connect to nature deeply. So, and my family has lots of different things with other creatives, other creators, and different medicine people. And then I learned multiple different continents of South America and in Peru. Mandaza is from Zimbabwe, like different traditions, and speaking to different mentors and just weaving the truth of the earth. Like we have a shared earth, and shamanism's been shared on every continent. It has so many cohesive truths about the four directions, and they didn't have the internet. It's like spirit's the original internet, right? Like that to me is proof. It's pragmatic.
Right. And I think that's just so amazing. I mean, it's the same thing with so many of the different parts of different cultures, just as in the dance. And so I've studied dance for all my life, and every culture has a similar dance. And how did that happen? Right.
That's for humans. It's our expression. I took care of a baby squirrel. Don't go picking up baby squirrels because like their moms are taking care of them. But this one was on the side of the road, and my intuition's like, go grab it. And I didn't know how to take care of a baby squirrel. And so I'm like Googling, but I'm like, wait, I have an intuition. And I'm like in this like real deal, full presence, taking care of this baby squirrel. But what I saw was nature teaching it without a mom. It started to learn how to jump. It would hide its little nut. So I'd give it a nut, and then within a week I had it on solid food. Like it grew so fast, it evolved so fast, and no one was telling it what to do. It didn't have to read a book, and it would go and hide the nut, like scurry away with it. And I thought it was just playing. But then when I came to feed it its milk again, like kitten formula, and there's if there's like rehabilitation, they're like, you're not supposed to feed it that. It was fine. They came and got the nut. Like, it's like, oh, it's mealtime. So I'm watching this. I'm like, oh my God, like how much we forgot to trust our nature. Now we have a kind of an unnatural life, but our intuition's getting upgrades all the time. Like if we learn to just tune in more, right, we would be amazed over time. It takes time. Like you gotta give it time. So eventually I found my way to being an online entrepreneur, working with people all over the world. Having that freedom made total sense to me.
Okay, so let's stop there. So you found your way to be an online entrepreneur. So tell me about that.
Yeah. So this was like, life coaching wasn't really a big thing. Maybe it was in California. This was 2009, and I'd already done a psychotherapy degree, the Reiki, the this, that, and personal training. So like I have all these pieces, but none of it was fitting together. I had a bit of a temper tantrum with God, where I'm like, WTF, doing everything right. Like, what? I was pissed. And then 3 months later, I met my ontological coaching mentor. So ontological coaching is where we come to creator. It's like the ones and zeros of you're the projection machine, and your life is the projection. But you got to fix it from here. You got to fix it from your relationship to reality itself, back down all the way at creator codes. And it's easy. We all can do it. It's revealed in our language. It's easy. It's not always easy. It's easy when you're good at it. It's easy for me now. But at the beginning, it's like, oh my gosh, there's just ways to do this and to be a creator. So I did a 2-year coaching training, 15 hours a week, 2 transformational weekends, very immersive. It was such a gift. And he's never teaching it again. It was his last year of teaching coaches for 19 years. And it was when Skype was a thing. And I was meeting this, I was meeting this guy I don't know on Skype from California, because my music agent was like, you should really talk to this guy. So they were 3 months into their coach training already, talking to him. And he's like, you should really consider this coach training. Like, you have this, you have that, and you have that. But I hear like, you don't know how to put it all together and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I don't. And what was great about him is, one, I could feel his email. When his email came in, I could feel that there was energy behind it. It wasn't just heady, blah, blah. And he wasn't just trying to make a sale, because his group was already full and he was already 3 months in. It was just me joining. But he offered to other people in the coaching group, if they hear this podcast, he offered to have me pay after, because I did not have the money to pay him. I just quit my job. I just moved because I was like burning down all the bridges of stuff that wasn't working anymore. And I just felt it in my body. So I burnt it all down, not knowing what was going to come. And he's like, yeah, pay me when you start getting clients, which I did. So, but picture this, right? Like, I'm 29, I'm like going onto a Skype call with a group of people I've never met. I've just talked to this guy this morning, and he's like, we start tonight at Tuesday night. And I'm like, okay. I was so scared. I was so nervous going in, but I said yes. And so it isn't just about the things come to me, but I said yes. And I think some people might overthink it. Mm-hmm. Discernment is huge. But so that was what brought me to coaching. And then it was so easy because, one, it was just all of me coming in a form that had a lot of freedom to do it online, and I didn't like the idea of having a bunch of clients come into an office and I'm just sitting in this chair all day. And then I go watch Netflix, or like, that wasn't a dream life for me at all. The flexibility of online business wasn't also a story at the time. Like, not a lot of people were doing it, and people were very confused by me. They're like, so how do you get paid? So you meet online, like, how do you do that? How does that work? And they just couldn't see it. So, so that was when I was 29, I'm 40 now. And so from 29 to now, it was just about refinement. Like, the first 3 years of really refining, okay, I'm not just an ontological coach. I'm not just a shaman. I'm not just a psychotherapist and creator and personal trainer, but like all of the things coalescing. So who's Jenna? What am I teaching? Working with clients, discovering more through their results and their relationship to reality, and then coming up with the resourcing method of just what works, of why self-development, spiritual development isn't working for some people, because we're mind dominant. And we're trying to understand everything from the wrong tool. But if we can learn these resources, which everybody can do, the body connection, and people are learning bits of them, but how they all come together so you can live and be your own source, like how to self-source, how to not outsource your truth, how to have this, like, I call it unconditional confidence, because once you know you're your source, you're participating with source all the time. Like, you're not alone with that. The confidence you have isn't about the same confidence I have as a singer. I know when I put in a certain amount of hours of practice, I'm gonna rock that show because I put in the hours. But human being confidence, unconditional confidence, like my worth and my path are like, they're untaintable because I'm here. There's like this that's not questionable. There's a certain shift that happens that I work with my clients on creating that shift so that they never go back. Once you've hopped into that, you don't want to go back, but you also kind of,
yeah, no going backwards.
No.
So tell me about your singing.
Yeah, well, I was planning to be a big deal, and
big deal. What are you talking
I am, but like I'm really quite good, and so you guys will hear me soon. I just was like, I didn't give it up, but I put it to the side while I was working on my business and just did it for fun. And then in 2016, I sat down and I do this New Year's ritual every New Year's for years. It's just so much better than getting drunk and waking up hungover. And so I sit and I vision. I go over the year before and I go vision. And when I say vision, I have a blank screen. I'm like, oh, what's my vision for this year? And I let it come to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's different. I think people, when they do their vision, they're injecting what they want onto the vision. But I like to sit and be a receiver. And I just saw the lights and I felt the feeling of being on the stage, the feeling of the lights, and the feeling of the audience. And so I'm like, okay, speaking and singing. And so now I have this whole thought leadership little package. And within a year, I was asked to be a keynote speaker, and I combined singing and speaking and storytelling and teaching this kind of stuff in like a 90-minute to 2-hour thing. So it was like, it happened pretty fast of like, okay, and now I'm going to speak at this event. So my journey with singing is now, over the past 2 years, I've been working with Celine Dion's vocal coach, Dr. William Riley, and he's Indigenous roots as well. So it's really interesting because we're speaking about the voice, but the spiritual development of singing, I'm sure, with any artistic thing, and how it is paralleling living the most authentic human being life possible in alignment with spirit is the same. Like, your voice is in one place. There's no up or down. You can't power your way to a high note. You just can't. You have to focus and surrender. And it's like this alive vulnerability when you're doing it right. Because if you're thinking, how's this note going to go? You're not there.
I totally know what you're talking about. I mean, because I play music and sing too, a different kind of genre, but
yeah,
but it's like, I'm going to try to get there. And if I don't surrender, it's just forced. And we don't want to move that way, especially as women. We want to move with that beautiful, divine, feminine honor and grace and, vulnerability and surrender. And yeah.
Well, the magic of creativity, of sharing yourself,
yeah,
your voice, your story, the story of the song without walls is so, it makes you become like, there's a reason we pay millions of dollars to these actors, because they've done the work to strip it all away. And now they're on stage on these big cameras where there's nothing between them and you.
Right.
And that's why, people are like, well, why do the actors so much money? Like, the process of doing that is humongous. It is ginormous. And so being a singer, so the thing now is like to be my own vocal potential. So like, I was like, okay, ultimately I want to know when I sing a song, yes, that's my full vocal potential. And then met William Riley through synchronicities. I just was like, who's Celine Dion's vocal coach? Just out of like, if I'm going to get a vocal coach, who's that? And ended up trying to find him. This guy, you could not find him online, and met another one of his students who was in Sweden. She teaches spiritual mastery courses called the Avatar program. Her and I have this whole like jam fest talk. And then she just messaged me on WhatsApp and connects us on WhatsApp. And his name's the same name as my dad, and William. And so it was just like, just so interesting. And now we're good friends too. Like, we really just like chat and stuff. But so I, where I'm going with singing is, one, for it to not feel forced, that it is part of this vision from within, that it's emerging from within me. But I see myself singing at sound healing events and other transformational events, and using music how it's always been used to circumvent the mind in this mind dominant world of spiritual and self-development. It's become very mind dominant. So to add music, to add sound, to do it in a pop music kind of way. So it's not a 10-minute sound bath song necessarily. Like we might have those two that might emerge as this meditation to go into the void. But it'll be like a well-written song, like a pop song, like Coldplay, like all these songs, Beatles, and like all of these songs that resonate truth because it's come from the truth through them. So that's the vision. So that's why I was in California. I was going to be Lisa Nichols. I met her at an event and I said, hey, I'm doing this thing. Like, can I sing at your event? And then I'll do it for free, but I would love like a testimonial and to be able to use the footage. So, that can be picked up again. But so far for 2 years, I've been in my cottage. I've been in my cottage by Lake Huron with my cats. So I feel really like a witchy woman.
And you are. A very deep, spiritual, beautiful witchy woman.
That's funny, that archetype, right? Like the spiritual woman with her cats in the wood. It's just like it's just funny. It's just funny. So I am, I see clients all over the world, and what's been beautiful is I was really freaked out when COVID happened. And then, like always, people just found me and they were the right one at the right time and knew I was the person. And that frequency of, there's a certain point, like your business is its consciousness. There's a consciousness once your business comes through that is its own entity that runs itself. And so trusting that, re-leaning into that and knowing I can trust this entity that is my business and be in service to it, if that makes sense. So it isn't about, I have to make my business run. That shit never works for me.
Well, and I mean, I think that's one of the hardest things for a lot of entrepreneurs is like, we got to make it work. We got to make it work. And it's like, no, you got to make you have to make you work, from here. And then of course there's all that
you do. There's
spiritual aspects, and there's the mindfulness, and then there's the action steps, and it's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff, and where I'm not diminishing the journey, because I'm like at year, if I started psychotherapy, I was 26, I'm 40 now. And then I did the coach training, I was 29 to 31. I've been doing this a while. Like, and before that, I was doing Reiki at 15. But personal training is such a random sidestep that was. It was so great because I had my own hours and I learned how to sell packages, and the clients changed. They didn't just change their bodies. They changed because they were hanging out with me every week, 1 to 3 times. And that was when I was like, oh, I should be a therapist. This is something I could really do. It's something that was legitimate, that mattered to me too.
Well, and how beautiful that you found that at such a young age.
Mm-hmm.
Your needs and experiences had you search for answers, and I mean, it's beautiful. It's great, and life is different for all of us at different ages.
100%. Like I jokingly, so I just turned 40 on March 18th. And I joke that I've been waiting to be 40 since I was 16. Like, it's like, this has been like the age that makes the most sense for me. Not to like,
hey, let me just tell you, it just gets better. I am going to be 65 this year.
Amazing. I believe you. Like,
and it is an incredible journey. And I never stop learning, and I never stop stopping. And
well, that's a good way.
I
like that. I like that a lot. I stop a lot. I'm like, I'll be like, my friends know me well enough to know, like, oh, that, Jenna's just gonna go left if she needs to go left. I'm like, but isn't that wonderful? I have friends that aren't like, oh, you just do what you want to do, and like they get me, I get them. I can be me. But yeah, when I'm like, oh, well, stop, I stop. When the river stops going, I just stop.
Well, and that's so important. It's so important.
No, sometimes I don't stop and I go a little too far down the wrong river and I'm like, oh shit.
Right. Exactly. Well, we have to stop to listen.
Yes.
Listen in, and then keep the momentum so you can keep going. But if you don't stop to listen, you're not going to hear what your spirit or source or God or higher self or whatever you want to call it is talking to you, and get the downloads and know what's next. And and that's of course what makes my job as a coach and yours so fantastic and rewarding, is that we help to guide people to those truer pieces of themselves.
And to hold the space, like there's a few different elements to that, like for your listeners, like there's, when we say stop, like we can hold space for another human and then help them and train to that frequency faster. And then once you've experienced it for yourself, just like any good teacher, like my voice teacher, once he shows me how to do something, at first I'm like, my brow's furrowed and I'm not breathing and I'm trying to learn it. But once I feel it in my own bones, because he's guided me, I can do it again and again and again.
Nice. Well, I can't wait to hear you sing. I want to hear you sing.
I'll send you a recording.
Yeah.
That's how we can entrain with our being, right? Like to go 7 layers down, almost like when we say stop, first all you're going to hear is the noise and just keep sinking down, almost like a pebble dropping down. Like just give yourself the space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just sit for that long. And because I see this all the time with people just like, I'm sitting and they're just like, they're still, but their head is like,
Right.
just like let it calm. It'll calm on its own. But yeah. So yeah, singing is definitely coming into the future. And then I'm building a studio in my garage so that I just feel like the environment feels like it matters to me. Like it felt like I was procrastinating, but I like, no, it really matters to me. I have this big space and I'm going to put a skylight in and just feel like, okay, now I'm in creator mode, not just like mode. And so YouTube videos and all that kind of stuff and live events is really what I'm excited about, but I'm also open to the keynote talks that are digital that are like really well done because the tech is catching up in a post-COVID online world. Like tech is becoming amazing. At first I was like, everybody get offline. This is my world. Yeah.
Oh no, it's inundated now.
Oh yeah. It's like
inundated.
Yeah, but it like gives us these vehicles to get like, right. We're doing what right now I'm talking about.
I love it. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Incredibly grateful for these opportunities. And so what do you have to say? What's your final inspiration for our people?
I am going to say that it's not your fault if you can't get this and that you just haven't been taught. So if you're doing the spiritual work and you're doing all the doings, just keep going because your own spirit is going to lay the train tracks and it's going to show you, but don't make it mean you're doing it wrong, that you're wrong. That is not what it means. If you're not seeing results yet, just keep going and know that can't possibly be true ever, that you're wrong. This must mean, oh, it's not for me. No, your deepest, truest vision is for you. Otherwise you wouldn't have it.
Right.
So receive more and strive less and to let the receiving catch up with you.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. And you hear that, my friends? Listen to Jenna. Wise words there. So good. Well, Jenna, thank you for spending some time with me.
Thank you.
It's so good to meet you and get to know more about you. And I love your journey and I love the work that you're doing. And, we have a lot of similarities in our work. And it's so good.
Yeah, well, but I'm in California.
Hey, I'm down here. I'm down here. All right, my friends, I will give you all of Jenna's contact information so you can check in with her. or check in with me at www.paulettereesdenis.com. I am Paulette, and this is Heart and Hustle, Visionary Healers, Movers, and Shakers, bringing you people who are creating magic and making change and bringing goodness to our world to make it just a more joyful and better place to live. Thanks for being here. Always leave your comments, ask questions, direct message either one of us with whatever you're thinking. And until we meet again, many blessings. Mwah.